While most of the world goes about daily life unaware, the United States Navy is fighting a war no one talks about. Drug submarines packed with cocaine try to sneak past Navy ships and helicopters armed with machine guns. These missions rarely make headlines and receive little public attention despite involving billions of dollars linked to drug cartels. Why is no one talking about this? And what happens when the cartels get cornered at sea? Join us as we find out how the United States Navy wiped out cartels using the hammer. The drug war at sea is far more complex than commonly perceived. It extends beyond speedboats and concealed cargo to include fully operational submarines. These vessels often travel beneath the surface, making them difficult to detect by standard radar systems. Each journey can transport enough cocaine to generate hundreds of millions of dollars in profit for drug trafficking organizations. These drug submarines didn't appear overnight. Back in the 1980s, Colombian cartels started with simple underwater tubes they would tow behind boats. Pretty smart, but not good enough to fool the military for long. So they got creative. By the 1990s, drug trafficking operations had advanced to using self-powered submarines. These vessels were not military-grade, but rather handcrafted in concealed workshops located deep within the Colombian jungle. Constructed primarily from fiberglass and wood, they were assembled in remote muddy clearings under dense jungle canopy, helping to conceal them from aerial and satellite surveillance. Today's narco submarines represent significant engineering achievements despite being built by individuals without formal training in the field. These vessels, often around 80 feet in length, are capable of traveling up to 2,500 miles without the need for refueling. They can transport as much as 10 tons of narcotics while remaining mostly submerged to evade detection. A typical crew consists of 5 individuals who endure extended periods in confined, overheated spaces with minimal amenities. These submarines typically cost between $1 million and $2 million to construct, yet they are capable of transporting cargo valued at more than $150 million. Despite the risk of interception, the potential profit makes them a highly attractive option for drug trafficking operations. The most recent models of these vessels are increasingly difficult to detect. They are often painted in blue-gray tones to blend with the surrounding ocean, and are built with streamlined shapes that minimize weight during movement. In some cases, they are equipped with lead lining to reduce heat emissions, making them less visible to military aircraft using thermal imaging. A key challenge for law enforcement in intercepting these vessels is their scuttle feature, specialized valve that can flood the submarine within minutes of authorities' approach. This allows a vessel and its cargo to sink rapidly to the ocean floor, often in waters thousands of feet deep where recovery is nearly impossible. In the year 2024, Operation Orion demonstrated the extent of these submarines' technological advancement when one was intercepted en route to Australia. The vessel had traveled more than 10,000 miles across the Pacific Ocean. This was not only an indication of a new trafficking corridor, but also clear evidence that drug cartels had developed the capability for extended long-distance submarine operations. The ongoing efforts between drug cartels and military forces continue to evolve in a complex cycle of adaptation. For every design advancement made by the cartels, military agencies respond with updated detection technologies. Current methods include thermal imaging, drone surveillance, and artificial intelligence-based pattern recognition, all aimed at identifying the faint wake or minimal heat signatures produced by these vessels. Still, for each narco submarine intercepted, intelligence experts estimate that 3 or 4 succeed, delivering valuable cargo and sustaining the vast drug trade that stretches across continents. But how do you intercept a nearly invisible submarine? This challenge led to the creation of Operation Martillo, the largest drug bust campaign in history. As drug cartels became too powerful for any single nation to manage, the world decided to collaborate. In January of 2012, an alliance was formed with a strong name for a challenging mission, Operation Martillo, meaning hammer in Spanish. 14 countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Spain, Guatemala, and Honduras, joined forces. Operation Martillo was not just another failed drug war initiative. It targeted the cartels where it hurt most, their shipping routes. Military ships, aircraft, and special forces patrolled the waters between South America and the United States, creating a formidable barrier for drug shipments to navigate. The results were swift. In the first year alone, authorities arrested 339 smugglers and seized 101 boats carrying drugs. In 2011, The operation confiscated 119 tons of cocaine, worth an estimated $2.35 billion on American streets. Authorities also seized $21 million in cash heading back to the cartels and $16 million worth of goods used to conceal or transport the drugs. Operation Martillo was only the beginning. In late 2024, Operation Orion took the multinational effort to a new level. This time, 62 countries participated, ranging from small nations with limited coastlines to major powers with large navies. Over 6 intense weeks, they shared intelligence, tracked suspicious vessels, and intercepted drug shipments across global waters. No previous drug operation had matched the success of Orion. The operation seized 225 tons of cocaine in one sweep, a world record. When combined with more than 1,000 tons of marijuana and other drugs, the total haul exceeded $8.5 billion in street value. Each country brought distinct strengths to the effort. The Americans provided advanced radar systems capable of detecting small boat wakes from satellites. The Dutch contributed underwater drones to inspect ships, and Colombian forces used their expertise to locate launch sites in the jungle. Even landlocked nations assisted by tracking money and communications. What made Orion revolutionary was not just its scale, but its advanced coordination. Military commanders from numerous countries collaborated in real-time command centers, sharing live intelligence and executing raids across multiple time zones simultaneously. When smugglers attempted to alter their routes after hearing about a bus, they would end up sailing into another country's patrol zone. These operations did more than remove drugs from the streets. They collected valuable intelligence. Each captured sailor, boat, and communication device offered new insights into cartel operations. Smuggling route maps became more detailed, and lists of cartel contacts grew longer with every bust. The price of cocaine on American street increased as supplies dwindled. The message was clear. The open seas were no longer safe for drug traffickers, regardless of how advanced their hiding methods were. With nations united against them, cartels required more effective tools to evade capture. But what dangerous machines do drug lords use to outrun the law? Drug traffickers don't just use any boats to transport their illegal cargo. They develop a formidable fleet that could rival some navies. At the core of this criminal fleet are two very different yet equally dangerous vessels, lightning-fast speedboats and stealthy underwater submarines. The speedboats, known as go-fast in the drug world, are the traditional workhorses for cocaine delivery. These 30-foot boats are powered by 3 or 4 outboard motors, each with 250 horsepower. It's like attaching multiple sports car engines to the back of a small boat. These engines propel the boats to speeds exceeding 80 miles per hour, making them nearly impossible to catch in a direct pursuit. Go Fast maintain a low profile in the water, often painted blue to blend with the ocean. They typically carry only one driver, maximizing space for fuel and drugs. With 2,000 gallons of extra fuel tanks, these boats can travel over 500 miles without stopping, enough to cover distances like Colombia to Jamaica or the Bahamas to Florida. What makes these boats particularly dangerous is their history. They weren't created by drug dealers. They were originally used by rum runners during American Prohibition in the 1920s and 1930s. Those early smugglers perfected the design to outrun Coast Guard ships, and modern drug traffickers have simply updated the concept with newer technology. To combat these speed demons, the Coast Guard formed specialized teams called Hydron, Helicopter Interdiction Tactical Squadron. These teams operate MH-65D Dolphin helicopters equipped with machine guns and sniper rifles. When they spot a go-fast, they don't attempt to outrun it. Instead, they swoop down from above, using loudspeakers to instruct the boat to stop. If the boat continues fleeing, Hydron snipers target the vessel's engines with precise shots from their .50 caliber rifles, disabling the boat without harming those on board. These tactics have become so effective that drug cartels now hide their go-fast in plain sight. They disguise them as fishing boats with fake equipment or create special compartments below the waterline to hold cocaine packages, making the boat appear empty if inspected. Some cartels have even developed hybrid boats that combine go-fast speed with submarine stealth, known as low-profile vessels. These boats sit so low in the water that only a small part is visible above the surface. They are painted ocean blue and made with materials that are less detectable on radar. While these hybrids aren't as fast as pure go-fast, moving at around 30 miles per hour, they are much harder to detect from patrol planes. With submarines lurking below and speedboats racing above, Drug runners have developed a two-pronged approach that keeps law enforcement constantly uncertain about where the next shipment might originate, but cartels didn't anticipate America's secret weapon at sea. How did one ship alone cost drug lords $500 million? In early 2025, one ship instilled fear in drug lords across South America. The United States Coast Guard Cutter James became a floating nightmare for cartels during a relentless 112-day mission that drug kingpins still discuss in hushed tones. The Cutter James is no ordinary vessel. At 418 feet long, this legend-class cutter is like a floating city with one purpose: hunting down drug smugglers. It carries a crew of 150 highly trained men and women who work in shifts around the clock. The ship can remain at sea for months without returning to port, making it the perfect predator for tracking drug routes. What made the 2025 mission extraordinary was its remarkable success. In just under 4 months, this single ship seized over 48,000 pounds of narcotics, enough to supply a mid-sized American city for a year. The street value reached approximately $510 million, making it one of the most financially devastating blows ever dealt to cartel operations. The January operations were particularly impressive. On January 5th, the ship's crew launched a drone that spotted a suspicious vessel off Ecuador's coast. Unlike regular military drones, the Coast Guard uses special maritime models that can fly for 18 hours straight while carrying advanced cameras capable of reading a boat's name from miles away. The drone silently tracked the vessel from high above until boarding teams swooped in, catching 3 smugglers with over 2,250 pounds of cocaine. Just 1 day later, on January 6, they hit the jackpot. Maritime patrol aircraft working with the Cutter James spotted 3 go-fast boats traveling together, an unusual and risky move for smugglers. Using their helicopter teams, they managed to stop all 3 boats in a perfectly coordinated operation, capturing 9 suspects and an enormous haul of 13,960 pounds of cocaine. The smugglers changed tactics on January 7th, deploying a low-profile vessel, a boat specifically designed to avoid radar detection. But the Hydron helicopter crew was ready. Using precision shooting skills, they disabled the boat's engines without harming the crew. Another 8,240 pounds of cocaine never made it to American streets. When smugglers tried to escape capture by dumping their cargo on January 18th, the Cutter James didn't give up. Its high-speed pursuit boats chased down the smugglers while other team members retrieved the floating drug packages from the sea. The recovered cargo, nearly 6,000 pounds of cocaine, would have brought cartels millions in profits. The Navy joined forces as well. Ships like the USS Minneapolis St. Paul and USS St. Louis conducted their own busts in the Caribbean, adding hundreds more kilograms of captured cocaine to the total. These operations struck the Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation cartels especially hard. Intelligence gathered during the missions revealed key smuggling routes, identified cartel members, and exposed new trafficking methods, all of which are now being used to plan the next wave of interdictions to further disrupt these criminal empires. Behind every successful drug bust is a hidden mastermind running the operation, who is truly calling the shots in this billion-dollar game of cat and mouse. Hidden away in Key West, Florida, is a building that appears ordinary from the outside. Inside, however, an elite team lead what may be the most successful drug-fighting operation in the world. Welcome to JIATF South, the Joint Interagency Task Force South, where America's drug war is orchestrated by some of the smartest military and law enforcement experts. JIATF South is where information from dozens of countries and agencies converges to catch drug smugglers in the act. Consider it the ultimate control center for drug interdiction, a place where satellite images, radar data, ship locations, and confidential intelligence are combined to track down the criminals. What makes JIATF truly unique is how it brings together individuals who typically don't work side by side. FBI agents sit next to Navy officers, Defense Electronics Agency specialists collaborate with Coast Guard commanders, and CIA analysts exchange information with customs officers. With representatives from foreign countries included, the team gets a complete view, not just fragments of it. The command center itself resembles something from a movie, a vast room with large screens displaying maps of the Caribbean and Pacific, with dots representing every boat, plane, and submarine in the area. Specially trained analysts monitor these screens around the clock, searching for suspicious movements or unusual patterns that could indicate drug shipments. When JIATF spots something suspicious, they don't need approval to act. They have direct control over ships, planes, and helicopters on standby. This fast response is critical, as drug boats can vanish in minutes if they realize they've been spotted. One of JIATF's secret weapons is the Ladette teams, law enforcement detachment units from the Coast Guard. These small groups of highly trained personnel get placed on Navy warships, turning military vessels into drug-fighting machines. When a Navy destroyer spots a suspicious boat, these Coast Guard teams handle the boarding and arrests, solving a tricky legal problem. Military forces can't normally make arrests, but Coast Guard officers can. The partnership works brilliantly. Navy ships provide the muscle and advanced technology, like the USS Gridley and USS Bruins with their powerful radar systems that can spot tiny boats from over 100 miles away. Meanwhile, Coast Guard teams bring the legal authority and specialized skills for boarding suspicious vessels safely. JIATF South doesn't just react to smugglers, they predict their moves. Using powerful computers and years of data on drug routes, they create heat maps showing the most likely paths smugglers will take. This lets them position ships and planes in perfect ambush positions days before drug boats even leave South American shores. This command center has become so effective that drug cartels now offer huge bounty for information about how it operates, but JIATF keeps adapting its methods, staying one step ahead in the high-stakes chess match against some of the world's most dangerous criminal organizations. The command center might be the brain, but what about the streets? How did drug trafficking networks evolve after the Miami days? Back in the 1980s, Miami was like the front door for cocaine coming into the United States. It was everywhere. Nightclubs, highways, even high-end neighborhoods. Smugglers ran wild, and cash was pouring in so fast banks struggled to count it. The drug trade wasn't just big, it was loud, flashy, and dangerous. But while the neon lights of that era have faded, the drug business didn't die. It got smarter. Today, the people moving cocaine don't rely on one big cartel calling all the shots. Instead, small separate groups team up like pieces in a puzzle. Some grow and process the drugs in South America. Others handle shipping across oceans or hide drugs in everyday cargo. There are even groups in Europe and Oceania who specialize in sales and local distribution. One of the biggest changes is technology. Smugglers now use encrypted phones, GPS trackers, and even drones to monitor shipments. Some boats are so well-equipped they're hard to spot by radar. Others are disguised as fishing vessels or loaded into containers mixed with legal goods. And the sea is still the highway of choice. A huge share of cocaine headed for the United States still moves by water, especially through routes hugging the Central American coast. These routes are long, secretive, and packed with danger. Traffickers might switch boats mid-journey or dump cargo at sea if they sense trouble. Some even use homemade submarines, known as narco subs, to move tons of drugs at once. These subs aren't just a rumor. They've been found packed with drugs and crewed by people trained to stay hidden. They often float just below the surface, making them tough to detect. It's a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek. In response, United States forces like the Coast Guard and Navy have stepped up their tactics. Aircraft patrol the skies, ships use radar and sonar, and teams track suspected routes in real time. It's a constant chase, and one that needs constant updates. Drug traffickers are quick to adapt. If one route gets blocked, they test another. If a method fails, they try something new. It's not only about speed anymore, it's about staying ahead. While Miami's past looks like a wild movie, today's networks are quiet, complex, and global. But the goal hasn't changed. Move product, make money, and avoid getting caught. The fight is ongoing, and both sides are always watching the next move. Thanks for watching.